Hello, Bleacher Report listeners. My name is James Hill, and welcome back to yet another live stream here on the Bleacher Report app. This is the somber one, the sad one, folks. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have lost to the Detroit Lions in an absolute battle of a game. There is no simple way to put it. The Buccaneers and Lions went toe-to-toe, went round for round, and in the end, the Buccaneers fought and fought and fought. They just didn't have enough, folks. At the end of the day, that's what it is. Tampa Bay Buccaneers lose 31-23 against the Detroit Lions. We are going to be diving into this game and really the season as a whole for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm going to be talking about that in the second half of this. But to talk about the game, to talk about the stream, or I guess I should say, to talk about the game as a whole here on this stream to start off, I thought that it was a good game from the Bucs offense. People may disagree with that, with how the game ended. Baker Mayfield threw an interception at the end of the game. I know that. Baker Mayfield, 26-41, 349 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Baker Mayfield was also sacked 4 times in this game, 3 of which the guy sacking Baker Mayfield came through completely unblocked. People are not going to like the final interception. By the way, 102 people in here in the chat. Thank you guys so much for that. People are not going to like the interception. People are not going to like the way that this game ended with Baker Mayfield. Here's the thing. I thought Baker Mayfield played a good game overall. I do believe that. I still believe Baker Mayfield will be back at the end of this, or for next season. I believe he will be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers quarterback. And obviously, this game is not on one guy. Baker Mayfield had a lot of good. He had some bad in there as well. With the 2 interceptions, 349 yards and 3 touchdowns, still battling to keep the Bucs in this game at the end, he made a mistake. He had a bad throw. You know, it is what it is. It happens. Are the Packers going to get rid of Jordan Love because he threw an interception into triple coverage when the Packers were down by a field goal? Probably not. Probably not. And I don't think the same thing is going to be said for Baker Mayfield. That's the way I feel. I think Baker played a good game with some bad in there as well, obviously. I'm not going to ignore the interceptions, but overall, this game was the exact definition of what Baker and the Bucs were this year, which is battle, fight, just keep on trying. And in the end, it didn't end the way they wanted to, but the fight was still there. Rachaad White, 9 carries for 55 yards today. Chase Edmonds, 4 carries for 19 yards. Baker Mayfield, 2 carries for 15 yards. I thought the run game was good today. The Bucs obviously could not run the football very well because of the fact that they were down for pretty much most of the game. So that was a difficult situation. Again, Mike Evans, 147 yards and a touchdown. Otten, 65 and a touchdown. Godwin, 40 yards. Rachaad White, 36 and a touchdown. Palmer, 32. I thought that overall, again, the offense had a lot of good moments. And were they part of the reason as to why the Bucs lost this game? Yes, but they're not the only reason as to why the Bucs lost this game. And I think that's important to remember. There's a lot of good things to like about this offense. You get them a couple more pieces, and I think that they could do even more things next year. I really do believe that. McLaughlin missed his 1 field goal. Again, I'm not going to credit, I'm not going to bash the field goal too much. McLaughlin had done so much throughout this year to make so many different types of plays. I think that 1 missed field goal is forgivable, and I still do believe he will be back with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I still really do believe that. It was a difficult game. It was a difficult, it was one of those games where it's just a few missed opportunities were the turning point. A few mistakes here and there was the difference in this game. That's just what it is. The Lions made a couple less mistakes than the Bucs. The Bucs just were a couple mistakes away from winning this game, from being in this game. And it is what it is. They competed with one of the top teams in the league, in the NFC, and were able to do, in my opinion, a really good job on offense. I mean, Mike Evans, My goodness, 147 yards, touchdown. I still think he will be back with the Bucs, by the way, for some people in the chat asking. I do still believe he will be back. And he deserves to be back. He does. So I think that the offense did a good job today. Obviously, some mistakes in there, some stuff that you wouldn't want to have happen. Folks, at the end of the day, that's offenses do that. They do. Does it mean that guys are not going to be re-signed and shouldn't be re-signed? No. Like, come on now. It's not the only reason the Bucs lost the game. It's facts. Just like for this, the only reason the Bucs lost the game is not on the defense, who gave up 21 points in the second half, were completely gassed by the second half. KJ Britt was targeted a lot in the second half. Jamel Dean went down with an injury. Zyon McCollum came in, was targeted a lot in the second half. But is it the only sole reason the Bucs lost the game? No. It's just a combination of things. They had some really bad penalties in there as well that would give the Lions automatic first downs. But these things just all compound, folks. They compile, and it just resulted. I mean, Yaya Diaby was very quiet in the game today. Shaq Barrett only had one quarterback hit. Jamel Dean got hurt. Zyon McCollum got picked on today. He's had a great year. KJ Britt didn't have a great game today. He's had a great year, filling in for Devin White. Ryan Neal had to come in at safety. He had a couple of misses here and there. It's just a lot of different pieces, a lot of different guys just missing a couple plays here and there, and it adds up. It does. The Buccaneers had 408 total yards on offense to the Lions, 391. 114 rushing yards to the Buccaneers, 89. 26 first downs to the Buccaneers, 23. 5 penalties for the Bucs today, but they were some pretty crucial penalties. Obviously, the Lions won the turnover battle. The Bucs gave up 4 sacks. And the Lions had 71 plays to the Buccaneers 60. So I want to say, to kind of put a bow on reviewing the game, it was a tough game, but it was a hard-fought game. It was a game that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers stayed in till the very, very end. And I think that people would agree with this. If this was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers of old, they would have been out at halftime. They would have been out at, by the end of the third quarter. They wouldn't have been able, when it was 31-17, they wouldn't have fought back and got a touchdown. It would have been game over. Lights, curtains, out. But they fought until the very last snap, until that last unfortunate interception. And that's notable. I think that is a very worthy thing for an A playoff game. People are going to be upset about Todd Bowles. People are going to be upset about Baker Mayfield. They're coming back, guys. That's just the reality of the situation. They are coming back. And they should come back. They should. And now I kind of want to dive into this season as a whole and talk about not just this game, but the season as a whole. I'm very proud of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm very proud of this team and what they were able to do. Did they lose a winnable game against the Detroit Lions? Yes. Did they make it a ball game and keep it close until the very end? Yes. Also, people are talking about the 2-point conversion in the chat. Yes, I understand that as well. That was a risky call. That was a risky call. I mean, either way, you're playing for the tie, but that's, either way, you've got to get 2 scores on the board. You've got to get 2 either way, you've got to get 14 points in some type of combination to tie up the ball game at worst. And at best, if you do get that 2-point conversion, you're going for the win. So, I mean, it's Todd Bowles not wanting to play for overtime. And that's something too, that I don't think a lot of people have really thought about, right? Where, I mean, my goodness, this team was 4-7 going up against the Indianapolis Colts, losing to the Indianapolis Colts. I talked about it here on the show where Todd Bowles, is his job done? Is he just completely out? What is going on with Todd Bowles? If the season ended today, Todd Bowles would be fired at 4-7, to battling all the way back, winning 5 out of your last 6, making the playoffs, winning the division, proving everybody wrong and winning a playoff game, and going toe-to-toe, beat for beat, round for round, with a team that everybody thought was going to smoke you in this game. And you almost won. Like, that all matters. I think we saw a very, very encouraging things from Todd Bowles. I think we saw very encouraging things from Baker Mayfield, this offense, this team as a whole, for reasons to be excited, or I should say at the very least, optimistic, cautiously optimistic about the playoffs or about this team going into the offseason, going into next season. I really do believe that. I really do believe that. For people who are going to say, tear this team apart, don't bring back Baker Mayfield, don't bring back Todd Bowles, I disagree. I disagree because I believe that these guys have shown enough. I believe Baker Mayfield has shown enough to where he should be back and you should feel good about him coming back. You can, maybe you shouldn't, but you can feel optimistic about him coming back. Todd Bowles has shown me enough as a head coach with the staff around him to feel fine with him coming back and to have some form of optimism coming back. The Bucs did not get blown out in this game. The Bucs did not lose by 50 points. They did not win just 4 games this year like what everybody thought they were going to do. They won the division. They made the playoffs. They won a playoff game. These are things that you can build on. And there's obvious upgrades that you can make on the team. You can bring in more interior offensive linemen. You can get a more consistent number 1 premier pass rusher. You can get another safety. You can possibly improve a middle linebacker, with guys that aren't named Levante David. There are things that you can do. You can get another wide receiver. There are things that you can do to improve this team while still keeping the main core of it together. I believe that. I really do believe that. And I think a lot of people would say a similar thing. I understand the knee-jerk emotional reaction is to say, the Bucs just lost this game. They should have won. Fire Todd Bowles. Get rid of Baker Mayfield because he threw the game-losing interception. That's done. That's dusted. Nothing else to say. I don't think that is looking at the whole picture. I don't think that is looking at it contextually. And I don't think that is sitting down and just taking a couple of minutes to process the entire year as a whole, which I feel is a very important thing to do. When you look at this year as a whole, when you look at this entire situation, the Bucs overachieved in really sent people's expectations out of the water. That is the reality of the situation, folks. Whether people's expectations got higher as the year went on, that's not fair to have that type of analysis. Whenever you need to look at the entire picture contextually, where did people think this team was going to be at the beginning of the year versus where they are now? It's a whole heck of a lot different. I'm going to tell you guys that much. It's a whole heck of a lot different. Nobody thought the Buccaneers were going to give the Lions this much of a fight. Nobody thought that it was going to go into the last play where it's going to have a game-losing interception. Nobody thought that was going to happen. Everybody thought that this was going to be a blowout. Everybody thought that the Lions were going to give them the business and that this was just the Bucs were going to look like the team that everybody thought they were going to be, which was a fluky playoff team that beat a bad Philadelphia Eagles team and got in by whatever means and aren't able to compete with real teams. Guess what? The Bucs proved that they can compete with real teams. The Bucs proved so much throughout this year. I think that Todd Bowles proved so much throughout this year as a head coach that he can adapt, that he can change. If I told you that Todd Bowles was going to go for 2 to try and take the lead rather than not go for the tie in a playoff game in the year of our Lord 2023, would you guys believe me? I don't think you would, but that's what we saw. I think that Todd Bowles has changed a lot as the head coach in a very short amount of time. I think he picked himself a very good deep offensive coordinator in Dave Canales. And I think if you give this team pieces, you can see this team continue to grow and improve and build off of what this offseason was. That's what I believe. And people may agree with that. They may disagree with that. But it just continues to go into the theme of, man, I'm really proud of what this team was able to do. I'm really proud of how far this team was able to get, because nobody thought the Bucs were going to get this far. Nobody thought that Baker Mayfield was going to have a career year, be a legitimate quarterback in this league, and is going to be in line for a big contract extension, which he has earned. Nobody thought that Todd Bowles was going to be a head coach that took his team from a 4-7 record in his backs up against the wall and is going to get fired if he does not get it in gear. These guys were going to play for Baker Mayfield. These guys were going to play for Todd Bowles. The defense was going to improve. Young rookies, which the Bucs had a lot of starting on the defensive side, one in the defensive line, one in the linebacking core, one in the secondary, two in the secondary if you count Kayvon Merriweather, go out there and make plays. Nobody thought these things were going to happen, but they did. And I think that shows a lot of growth from Todd Bowles, a lot of growth from the Buccaneers team as a whole. They never gave up on the coach. They never gave up on the quarterback, and that matters. This team was 4-7. They could have easily folded the year and mailed it in and said, yep, we're done. Sayonara. We're out of here. They didn't do it. They kept on fighting, and it resulted in a division title. It resulted in making the playoffs. It resulted in a playoff win. Todd Bowles is the 5th head coach in franchise history out of, I think, 13 or 14 to take the team to the playoffs, man. That matters. It does. It does. So I don't buy into the whole idea of Todd Bowles and Baker Mayfield should still be gone. They should not. I think that you should look to build around these guys. And look, this is coming from a guy who literally said when the Bucs were 4-7, if the season ended right now, that Todd Bowles should be fired. And what happened? You see the turnaround, you see improvement. I've seen enough to where I can be optimistic about the Bucs next year. Be optimistic about Todd Bowles and Baker Mayfield next year. And everybody might not agree with that, but that I've seen enough to say, okay, there's a lot that you can work with in this team. The Bucs, if you get them a few more pieces, maybe they win that divisional round. Maybe they take it a step further. Who knows? They go out there, they get a number 1 pass rusher in the offseason. They go out there, get another wide receiver. Again, some of the things that I just talked about, and maybe you win that divisional game. Maybe you clean up some of those mistakes. Another year in a Dave Canales offense. Maybe you do get past that divisional round and take it a step further, man. That is reasons to be hopeful. That is reasons to be proud. So I am very satisfied with how this season went. Certainly not the way I thought it was going to go. I think a lot of people would agree with that as well. Certainly not the way I'm sure a lot of people thought it was going to go. But the Bucs just continued to fight, continued to just get after it. And look, where there's some mistakes, yes. You know, there was just a few too many mistakes for the Bucs to win this game, and it resulted in them getting eliminated from the playoffs. But remember where they were versus where they are now. I feel like that's so important. I feel like that is the essence of this season as a whole. I really do believe that. I really do. So we'll see. We'll see what the Buccaneers do in the offseason now, folks. Their season is officially done. It is completely over. I'm proud of the way the Buccaneers finished out the year. I know a lot of other people are proud of the way the Buccaneers finished off the year. I know there's going to be people who are not happy about Baker, who are not happy about Todd Bowles. Folks, the fact of the matter is, those guys are coming back. Those guys are coming back. And mistakes obviously were made. There's a lot of things that Baker wants back, the 2 interceptions. There's a lot of things the defense wants back. Obviously, giving up 31 points, 28 if you don't include Baker Mayfield's turnover. 3 touchdowns on 3 straight drives in the second half. It's just, yeah, it's just a good season overall for the Bucs. One that you can certainly build off of, and one that I would say as a Bucs fan who went through the 2010s watching a ton of crap football, who I know a lot of Bucs fans at the inception of this team watched a lot of crap football. Can be happy with the way this season still went overall. But guys, again, my name is James Hill. I run the YouTube channel, MrBucsNation, where we talk about all things the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. A lot of my viewers are in this chat. Thank you guys so much for that. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. Tampa Bay Buccaneers season is done. Now, moving forward with these Bleacher Report live streams, we're going to have a lot to talk about. Off-season, man. Buccaneers off-season is officially here. There's going to be so many different types of things to talk about. A lot of different guys. Mike Evans, what's going to happen with him? Baker Mayfield, what's going to happen with him? Devin White, Levante David, so many different types of guys. And that's just re-signings. That is not new faces coming in, draft, all these different types of things. So we'll see. We're going to have a lot of stuff to talk about, folks. The Buccaneer season is officially done, but I still think it was a fine season overall. It was good. They overachieved. They exceeded expectations. That's all good in my book. Guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Hope you all enjoyed. As always, guys, I'll see you all in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now. Again, my name is James. Thanks so much for Bleacher Report, by the way, for having me on here where you can check out all things NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, and everything in between. See you guys in the next Bleacher Report stream. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now. See you soon. Go Bucs.